Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
With a knockaway.
Good defense.
Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
Let's go.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Double your chances to win all month long in March with two big promotions. On Fridays, embrace the madness and win a share of $150,000 in cash and free play. On Saturdays, starting March 8th, go for the gold and win your share of up to $10,000 in cash and free play in the 80K Fool's Gold giveaway. Enjoy live entertainment all month long and play for your chance to win big in March only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right. I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from San Antonio, Texas. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I sure hope you didn't think Houston, our old friend from the AAC, had a national championship locked up. Would have been the first in school history when they were up 12 points with about 15 minutes left last night, because the rest of the game did not go their way. Florida, for the third time in the history of the sport, is the national champion in men's basketball. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. When I finish this open, we're going to take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, your Memphis Grizzlies are in Charlotte for a big game tonight with the Hornets. Tip is at 6 o'clock. Grizz are listed at 14.5-point favorites. Let's go get a win. We'll get you ready for that in about 20 minutes. We're now just 2 days away from the start of the Masters and the always hilarious Chris Vernon Show Masters updates. Who are the favorites to win down in Augusta? I'll tell you in just a bit. The so-called house settlement that is inching closer and closer to becoming a reality was back in court on Monday. The judge had some interesting comments. I'll try to explain to you what all of this means. We'll do that in the second segment. This week's cover of Time Magazine details how we're bringing back extinct animals. Sounds dangerous. I don't know if it's what we ought to be doing. It feels like it could be a mistake. I'll get Bennett's thoughts on it. We'll do it a little later on in the show. And ESPN star Stephen A. Smith has said he's leaving, quote, all doors open as it pertains to a future presidential run. Kind of crazy that that's a real headline, but it is. We'll spend a few minutes on it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry out and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with college basketball because the 2024-25 college basketball season is now officially in the books. National championship game. It was held last night here in San Antonio. It wasn't the most beautiful basketball game we've ever watched, but it was awesome. Final score, Florida 65, Houston 63. What it lacked in shot making, it made up for in drama because we had a tie game with the trophy on the line with 2:18 remaining. 62-62, history on the line. And from that point forward, nothing went right for the Houston Cougars. Big Bet Bennett, did you enjoy last night's championship game?
No. I was heavily invested in the Houston Cougars. No, the game was amazing. The game was amazing, but that ripped my heart and soul out last night, honestly. I was sick for them, dude. I mean, that is I was trying to compare it to if you're a Houston fan, I was thinking back to 2008 and the Tigers and that feeling that you have after losing that game like that. And I mean, dude, losing a game like that has got to be up there, right? Like when you just you had the game.
I don't think you get over that.
No, not when you have it won.
I mean, you might get over it if you ultimately win one. Like, I bet you 2008 hurts less for John Calipari because of 2012. Now, 2012 doesn't make any Memphis fans feel better because that's got nothing to do with Memphis. But I think if John Calipari retired with 0 national championships, 2008 would drive him crazy for the rest of his life. Steve Lapis, who I work with at CBS Sports, he's a former coach, and so he lived this life. And he said, man, I'm just telling you, there are losses that you carry with you to your grave. They just, you wonder what if for the rest of your life. What if I'd have won this game? For Steve's case, it's like, would I have kept my job? Would I have got a contract extension? Would I have got a better job? Now, Kelvin Sampson obviously doesn't deal with those types of things. He's going to be the coach at Houston until he doesn't want to be the coach at Houston, and then his son's going to be the coach at Houston. But Kelvin Sampson has made it clear he doesn't need a national championship to validate his career. But, buddy, he would like one. There was this moment from the locker room after Saturday's victory over Duke where Kelvin was talking to his team, and he said, man, I love you guys. I just love you so much. But I'd love you a little more if we won a national championship on Monday. And he said it with a smile. But there's some truth in there somewhere. I don't mean to suggest he doesn't love his team, doesn't love those players, and won't be at their weddings and won't keep in touch with them and all of that stuff. But players and coaches who win national championships together, that is a bond forever. Like, they bring you back to campus to celebrate it every 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And Houston had it, man. Up 12 with a little more than 15 minutes to go, and still up in the final couple of minutes. They had it. And either Florida grabbed it from them or they let it slip away. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But as great as I thought Kelvin was talking about it last night, first with Tracy Wolfson, then in the post-game press conference setting, I know he feels sick today. I know he feels like I was up 12 points with a little more than 15 to go with the best defensive team in the country, and the other team's star was giving them nothing. You have to close that game out. It is very similar to how I assume John Shire felt after Saturday night. And so John and Kelvin have kind of gotten close over the years in terms of they like each other and talk, and even though there's a generational gap there between them in terms of ages, they've bonded and found a friend in each other. And just as I can set it up for Kelvin last night, up 12 with a little more than 15 to go, you've got the best defensive team in the country and the other team's stars giving them nothing. For Saturday night with John, it's like, you're up, I believe it was 14 with 8 minutes to go, a little more than 8 minutes to go. You've got the best team, you've got the best player in the country, plus 2 other projected lottery picks. You need to close that out. And if you don't, you'll think about it forever because you don't get that back. John Shire will never be up double digits with 8 minutes to go with the number 1 pick in the NBA draft on his roster. I mean, he might He might, but you don't find yourself in that situation too often. He was in that situation quite literally on Saturday night, and it got away from him. And I guarantee you it'll drive him crazy until he can break through and win a national championship. Until Duke wins a national championship with Jon Scheyer, what happened Saturday night will stick to him badly, without exception. And Kelvin is obviously more accomplished, more experienced, so I don't think it's as dramatic. Like, people aren't going to be asking big questions about Kelvin Sampson heading into next season, but they might with Jon Scheyer, given that he has been eliminated by an inferior team from the NCAA tournament in 2 straight years. But either way, Kelvin Sampson found himself last night in control of a game that his team almost always wins. And I don't mean just this team, but his teams. For the past 6 years at Houston, they almost always win those types of games. And then it just flipped on them. And Florida ended up winning a Houston-type basketball game against the Houston Cougars. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, man, and the reason that I thought Houston was going to win that game is like the recipe was there. I mean, they literally had the clamps on Walter Clayton Jr. Like it's what they did in the Duke game to those guards. Like they had the recipe to win that game, and then I mean, dude, it's just. You turn the ball over at the absolute worst time. Well, it was like, what was it? 4 straight empty possessions or 4 straight turnovers?
4 straight, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I got all the numbers on it. It's outrageous to watch how this thing went down. We did a post-game show last night, CBS Sports Network, and at one point, Brent Stover asked me, like, GP, if I would have told you Walter Clayton had 0 points at halftime, what would you have told me? And I would have said, Houston is going to be your national champion. I said, but Stove, there's like lots of things like that connected to this game that if you would have told me, I would have said Houston's going to be your national champion. Let's just like run through some of them off the top of my head. The final score is going to be 65-63. Houston's your national champion, right?
Yeah.
Walter Clayton's going to have 0 points in the first half. Houston's your national champion. Houston will be up 12 points with 15:26 remaining. Well, that means Houston's going to be your national champion. Every single sentence I just said is true, but Florida ended up being your national champion, and a lot of it was because of how it unfolded over the final, 7 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. But the last 2+ were especially bad. You're right. It was 4 straight empty possessions to close the game. It was 4 straight turnovers to close the game. And what's remarkable about that is that Houston doesn't turn the ball over. Like, you can go find Todd Golden's media availability from Sunday, and he's being asked about Houston, and he said, like, the thing that makes them so hard is they're obviously the best defensive team in the country. They offensive rebound to create second chance opportunities, and you don't get those same type of opportunities because there's really only 2 ways to get extra possessions in a basketball game, or at least the 2 best ways are offensive rebounds and creating turnovers. Well, it's hard to rebound against that team, but they're going to rebound against you. You're going to offense rebound against you, and they don't turn it over. So Houston almost always ends up with more shots than its opponent. And by the way, that was true last night. And by the way, here's another thing. If you'd have just told me this, GP, Houston's going to take 16 more field goal attempts than Florida in a 40-minute game. What does that mean? It means Houston's going to win the national championship. But in a thing that was just stunning to watch, they just started giving the ball away. Here's the most remarkable fact connected to that aspect of this game. For the first 38 minutes and 39 seconds of that game, Houston only turned it over 5 times. Think about how many times you watched Memphis turn it over this year, all right? Mm-hmm. National championship game against a top 10 defense in America. First 38 minutes and 39 seconds, Houston had 5 turnovers. In the final 121, they turned it over 4 more times. They nearly matched their turnover total for the first 38+ minutes in the final 1+ minute. You could take that game, put it back to 2:28 on the clock. We're tied 62-62. And let's play it out. And it'd probably go 5 times to Florida, 5 times to Houston. if you did it 10 times, that's probably the way it would break down. That game could have gone a million different ways in the final couple of minutes. And the one way it actually went down is perhaps the hardest one that it would have been to try to imagine. You're going to decide this game with Houston turnovers? That's not what Houston does. So how is the game going to be decided by Houston turnovers? And they're only going to finish with 9? Yeah, only 9. But 4 came in the last 1 minute and 21 seconds. 4 of them came in the last 81 seconds of the game. The good news for Houston is that they're going to be in a position to do something like this again. I don't know that they'll ever be in a national championship game with a double-digit lead in the second half. That's a hard spot to find. But Houston is probably going to, or at least based on, I'll just tell you, in the top 25 and 1 that we'll publish later today, Houston is going to be number 1. They're going to bring back enough good stuff. They have a 5-star freshman. They have Kelvin Sampson. I will have Houston number 1 later on in the top 25 and 1. But I had Kansas number 1 in the top 25 and 1 in the preseason. They didn't sniff a national title. This stuff is hard to do, man. Even when you got the best team in the country, it is hard to do. And when you're like the Dodgers, and you're going to, play series throughout the playoffs, it's much easier to create a bracket where the best team wins when it's a series of series as opposed to single elimination. College basketball, we do single elimination, and the best team does not always win. The best team did not win last night. I mean, the best team might have won that game last night. I'm not dismissive of that. But still, in all the predictive metrics, right now, Duke is the number 1 team in the country. The best team doesn't always win the college basketball national championship. And so could Houston have the best team next season? Yeah, maybe. But that guarantees nothing. This thing is hard to do. 6 straight wins, and at least 4 of those games are usually going to be against quality competition. Hard to do. But will Kelvin Sampson have a team on paper, at least, that is possibly good enough to do it again next season, get back in that spot? Yes, on paper, good enough. But like I said, that guarantees nothing. And every coach I know who has let something like that slip away, it eats at them and eats at them and eats at them until they can get past that point, break through, and create a better memory that overwhelms that one. That's what John Calipari did in 2012 at Kentucky. That's what Bill Self did in 2008 at Kansas. And eventually, John Shire is going to need to do that at Duke. And depending on how much longer he coaches, Kelvin Sampson, if I had a wish, I would wish for him to do something similar at Houston before he retires, because he's very secure in himself. He knows who he is. He's going to be in the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame someday, regardless of if he ever coached another game. His resume is already good enough for that. But I don't know that Kelvin Sampson will be fulfilled as a basketball coach if he doesn't win a national championship. Because it's one thing when you never were right there. Then it's like you were never just right there. It's just you never even got in that spot. But when you're in that spot and it is yours, he goes back and watches that game. There's going to be so many times throughout that game where he said, "This is our game. We've won this game." But I give incredible credit to Florida. They hung in there in a very similar way to the way Houston hung in there against Duke on Saturday night. The way those games unfolded were I don't know about similar in terms of the basketball stuff, but just in the feeling that you had experiencing it, watching it, incredibly similar. There was a moment Saturday night where if you were watching that game with people and Duke goes up double digits, 14 with a little more than 8 to go, what you would say is, okay, we're done here. Because every time Houston hit a shot to get back in it, Con Knipple, 3. Cooper Flagg, 3. It felt like we got to a point where we're done here, but we weren't. Houston flipped it, won the game, and advanced. Same thing last night. Walter Clayton is throwing the ball away. They went 18 basketball minutes where he took one shot. One shot. He didn't even score until several minutes into the second half, and his first points came on free throws. There were so many things set up for Houston to win this game. They had him out of sorts. They had the team out of sorts, but they hung in there. They hung around. And then they got big plays when they needed to do it. And now Todd Golden, the controversial coach at Florida, you can Google that if you want to, is a national champion at the age of 39. And they'll bring back some of those important front court pieces you saw last night. They'll get into the transfer portal and they'll buy some guards. And, yeah, they could be in a position to do this again next year as well. Nowhere close to where Billy Donovan found himself after winning that first title in 2006. I heard a little bit of this last night. Like, last time Florida won it, they won it again. So can they win it again? Yeah, I guess, but let's see what the roster looks like. On the day after the national championship game back in 2006, we kind of knew what the roster might look like. Those dudes loved each other and didn't want to leave school, and all 5 starters came back.
Yep.
Florida is not going to return all 5 starters, but it's going to return some interesting pieces, and it's not hard to get your boosters to start throwing NIL money around when you're coming off of a national title, when you just did something like they just did. So Florida will be in position to do something like this again, but just a classic national championship game. Wasn't the most beautiful game we've ever seen. In fact, it was ugly, lots of it, but it was compelling, it was dramatic, and at the end, the Gators made more play than the Cougars, and that's why Florida is now a national champion in men's basketball for the 3rd time in school history. Billy Donovan with 2, Todd Golden with 1. When we come back, turn our attention to the NBA. Grizzlies are in Charlotte tonight. 6 o'clock tip. Only 4 games left in the regular season. 14.5-point favorites on the road. That's a good sign. We'll dive in next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. And that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays and the evenings and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
The Grizzlies are back in action tonight. They're in Charlotte. They're playing the Hornets. Only 4 games left in the regular season. Tips at 6. 14.5-point favorites, Big Bet Bennett. You ready to go
Damn.
knock out? Yeah, it's sharp. They don't even want to win. They want Cooper Flag. If you could tell them they could have Cooper Flag and all they had to do was let us stay in Memphis and just forfeit the game, they would do that. If you said, hey, before we fire this plane up and fly to Charlotte to beat you guys by 15 points, what if you just forfeit and we'll guarantee you can have Cooper Flag? They would say, deal, we'll forfeit. Don't even bother. They don't want to win, Bennett, so let's help them. Let's help them
tanking
accomplish.
was done. I thought tanking was done in the NBA.
Oh, no, buddy, that's not true.
We're not done with that yet.
No. Here's what I want. Here's what I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's help them accomplish their goal. They don't want to win, so let's help them not win.
I think that's a great idea. This is a big.
By the way, it's the best idea.
Real quick before we talk about Grizzlies. Who are we playing tonight? The Hornets. God, I almost called them the Bobcats.
Bennett, my head's spinning. I need you to be able to keep track of who the Grizzlies are playing, all right? My head's spinning. I need you to keep track of this stuff.
So the Bobcats are retired. They are the Charlotte Hornets, in case anyone didn't know that. No, when you mentioned Cooper Flag, it got me thinking about, like, March Madness again and, like, One Shining Moment played last night and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to clarify, and since I didn't get to say in the opening segment, my favorite March moment was by far this one right here. It was my one shining moment. That was by far my one shining moment of the tournament.
I rode a mechanical bull on national television. That's a fact, man.
I saw you riding that mechanical bull on national TV. And, hey, you did pretty good. I mean, you made some baskets while you were riding and talking about college basketball. It's not bad, dude. That was a pretty good effort.
Bennett, not everybody works in television.
No.
Not everybody works in the way we work. But sort of pull the curtain back a little bit. Let me tell you what it's like to talk on TV. Typically, the only thing you really have to worry about, you're just having a conversation with your friends, mm-hmm. All right? You need to know what you're talking about. But once you know what you're talking about, you just need to be able to answer questions typically in about 25 to 35-second burst.
Yep.
And just talk to your friends. Every once in a while, a producer will be in your ear saying things like, all right, GP, I need you to stretch this. Or GP, I need you to wrap it up. A producer might say, I'll be going on and on the way I do, and you'll hear in your ear, moving on. It's very calm, moving on, and that just means wrap it up. We're on a schedule here. You could have said what you're trying to say already. Moving on. That's all. It could, like, all right, hey, GP, when you finish this, Brent's going to re-tee you on Kansas. Got it. Hey, GP, if you've got something else, show me your index finger. And then on camera, I'll just, like, on the desk, point out my index finger. Nobody else notices, but my producer's looking at it. And then if I got something else, he'll get into Brent Stover's ear and then say, all right, Stove, GP's got something else, re-tee him on Memphis. And this is the way it all happens. But it's typically just one thing going on. I might be having to listen to Brent Stover, Adam Zucker, and a producer, but that's the extent of it. Now, let me tell you what I was doing last night. I'm on a mechanical bull. I have one hand holding a bull, and the other hand, I'm catching basketballs and shooting basketballs. Yep. I also have a producer in my ear telling me what to do. I also have Brent Stover asking me questions. I'm trying to talk coherently. I have a live crowd yelling stuff at me, and I'm spinning in circles, getting dizzy, and I'm trying not to fall off of a mechanical bull and speak. It's a lot going on. It's a high wire act. It's a high wire act. And I don't know if I handled it perfectly, but my kids got a kick out of it. They like seeing their dad with a cowboy hat on top of a mechanical bull on TV.
I thought you did very well. That's I got to be honest, dude. That's probably profile picture worthy.
It could be.
That's probably profile picture worthy. I know you stick with your picture for a long time. I think that one's up there, buddy. That one's up there.
I believe this is true. I can't prove it, but it is what I believe. I believe I'm the first person to ever shout out Denim and Diamonds on national television.
I think that's probably accurate. Accurate. You might have been mentioned in a music video. I'm too young. Yeah, I'm too young.
You're too young. You missed out on all that.
No, I used to drive past it when I did deliveries when it was on its like last leg. That was before me.
The idea that we used to party on Thursday nights at the corner of, what is it, Mendenhall and Winchester?
I think that's right.
I can't tell you all the things that happened in those parking lots.
It got wild.
The wildest.
Yeah. Shout out Denim and Diamonds. How did that place ever exist?
Buddy, I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
I don't know if we need that again. That was a wild situation. But they had a mechanical bull inside Denim and Diamonds. And one of the things I said last night was like every once in a while you get a few drinks in you or something else. And somebody think it's a good idea to get on that mechanical bull because you just watched Urban Cowboy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's often harder than it looks. I was asked a million times, why didn't they just throw you off of it at the end? Wasn't that made for better television? And yeah, I think so. But I wonder if there's like lawsuit concerns, like is Gary Parrish going to end up suing Paramount if we throw him off of mechanical bull? I agreed to do it, but I don't think I ever agreed to be violently flung from a mechanical bull. So we kept it, I would say, on the easy level. Because I was also trying to shoot basketballs. It was fun television. I had a good time and possibly got a new profile picture out of it.
Good.
And so we'll see what happens next year in Indianapolis. Last season, I did a dunk tank at the Final Four in Phoenix.
I remember that.
This season, it's a mechanical bull in San Antonio. Next season, we're in Indianapolis. We'll see. We'll see.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
Hey. Grizzlies, yeah.
Can we just go embarrass the Hornets tonight and then get on with it?
I mean, you have to. Like, you have to. This stretch is so important. I mean, you look at this four-way tie right now with these teams competing for the last two spots in the actual playoffs, or to be in the top six. Dude, you can't lose this game. You just can't. You can't, especially with a huge game versus Minnesota coming up on Thursday. And then the next night you're at Denver, but that's coming off a late night against the Minnesota Timberwolves because it's 8:30 tip against Minnesota here on Thursday. And so that Denver game, I mean, dude, at altitude, you're barely getting any sleep. Like, you don't want to say it, but that's probably a scheduled loss, right? Like,
yeah,
if you're going to lose any of those games, that's probably the one right there that you're pointing at.
It's tough. Drew Hill had a nice story on this at dailymemphian.com, just sort of detailing the complexity of that particular road trip. So, we'll deal with that when we get there. And if that's a loss, then we'll blame it on the NBA. But for now, let's just focus on tonight. Hey, status report looks pretty good. Status report's clean.
Hit me with it.
Brandon Clark out, Zion Pullen out, and that's where we're gonna stop it. That's the whole status report.
I was looking to see because obviously LaMelo's out for the rest of the season for the Hornets. They shut him down, and I was looking to see because I apologize, I haven't been paying too much attention to the Charlotte Hornets lately.
I don't blame you.
You know who's been good for them? Our old friend Mark Williams. The guy, the broken down trade. Like, he's still playing well.
Well, hopefully not tonight. Grizz Hornets, 6 o'clock tip. Grizzlies are 14.5-point favorites. So anything other than a victory will be wildly disappointing.
Number 2.
We're 2 days away from the start of the Masters, which means we're 2 days away from the Chris Vernon Show Masters update. Scotty Scheffler, no surprise, the favorite in the betting markets to win the green jacket at plus 400, followed by Roy McIlroy plus 650. Then it's John Rahm plus 1,400, Colin Morikawa at plus 1,600. Those are the four leaders in the betting markets to win the green jacket on Sunday. Funny story. I was on Saturday between the end of our pregame show and the start of the national semifinals. I typically have some sort of speaking engagement, like they just set up and I go speak to like some corporate thing. And it's just basically, and there's a few hundred people or however many people, and they're all there for the Final Four. And I'm there. I'm like their own little personal pregame show. Like, hey, I'm Gary Parrish, CBS Sports, and you guys, do you even realize you're at the strongest Final Four field ever? Like, on paper, this is the strongest the Final Four has ever been, and you're here. So if this is your first one, buddy, you picked a good one. And then we talk about the games, and we talk about the coaches, and then we do a Q&A, and then they send you a check in the mail whenever or however they do that stuff. So I was doing that, and so but some of these people know who I am, some of them don't. Whatever. And so the way these things go, you do what you're required to do, and then you start getting pulled aside. Hey, can I ask you a question about this? Or, hey, can I ask you a question about that? Or, hey, can I, whatever. This guy walks up to me, and he goes, so where are you from again? Yeah, I know you work for CBS Sports, but where are you from again? I said, I'm actually from Memphis. He goes, Memphis? I said, yeah. He goes, do you know Chris Vernon? The guy who does the golf stuff? And I said, yeah, I do know Chris Vernon. He goes, man, those Masters updates. And this is the type of corporate people who they literally go straight from the Final Four to the Masters. This is the life this is their life they're living. They'll discard their Final Four sweater vest and then jump on their private plane and put on their Masters sweater vest and go to Augusta, right?
I live that life.
It's one of those guys. So he's like, do you know Chris? You ever heard of Chris Vernon? It was like as simple as it. Do you watch golf? Yeah, of course. You're from Memphis? Yeah. Do you know this guy Chris Vernon? I was like, yeah, I know Chris Vernon. And I sort of left it there for a minute. And he was like, oh, I guess if you guys are both live in Memphis and you work in the industry. I said, we literally work together. Like, he's one of my best friends, and we go out of town together. We play golf together, the whole thing. And he's like, I have a house in Augusta, and we just have parties throughout the tournament. It's just there for us to have people over, and it's catered and the whole deal. And on a loop on the television at night, they don't turn on SportsCenter. They don't turn on the Golf Channel. They literally just, the background of their evenings at Augusta National is just a loop of YouTube videos they put together of Vernon's Masters.
I love it. That's good stuff.
Love it. So the conversation continues, and I'm like, no, like, we work together. We're in the same building. And he's like, so you'll be there on Thursday when he's doing the Masters updates? I was like, actually, probably not. I'll probably get out of there as soon as my show's done. But I could be there if I could be there. And he was like, why don't you ever get in studio with him? And I was like, that's his thing. I don't feel like I should.
Yeah, that's his thing. Yeah.
That's his thing. He and I can do other things, but that's his thing. I don't even feel like I belong there. I wouldn't. That's his deal. I could probably put on one of the mascot things and be anonymous in the background. That might be fun. But other than that, that's his thing. But I genuinely had corporate people say to me, if you happen to be there and you could, like, send me a video from inside the studio, or it was like in that little world, this thing that Vernon has created is such a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's funny when he and I are like out at TPC Southwind for the tournament, like, the golfers all know who he is from this thing. Like, it's turned into a real thing. So
dude,
that'll be a blast. Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, they've been doing it. I can't think of how long they've been doing it now, because I can remember it was like, because this always happens as we get close to, like, the NBA playoffs, and I can remember they were doing like a plaza party. This was back in the radio days, and I was producing his radio show, like, on site, and him and Roser were, like, on the headsets, and they were doing the Masters update. This had to have been over 10 years ago or something. Yeah. It was forever ago. They've been at this for a minute. Yeah.
They were always hilarious, but the video component turned it into the thing that can go viral and the thing that gets all of the attention. And so it's always a fun week around the Grind City Studios at Masters Week. So can't wait for that on Thursday and Friday. And yeah, Scotty Scheffler, the world number one, he is the favorite to win the whole thing.
Number 3.
The so-called house settlement was back in court in Oakland, California yesterday. I think this is something that most sports fans have now heard of, but don't really understand what it is at all, because it is pretty complicated. But it was weird yesterday, like, trying to get ready for the national championship game, but also recognizing that in California there are lawyers and a judge and people in a courtroom quite literally deciding the future of college athletics. So let me explain to you what this means a little bit. There is this proposal in place that, if the judge will sign off on it, that will immediately allow universities to start paying student athletes directly. And that's where you've probably heard about this number of $20.5 million. That, like, as soon as this thing is pushed through the courts And it could happen as soon as next week. There was some thought it might happen yesterday, but it didn't. So I'll tell you how it ended before I even tell you what it's about. It didn't get to where they wanted it to get yesterday, but there's some real thought that it could get there, by the end of next week. And if not by then, go into effect by July 1st. As somebody else put it, the Final Four you watched the Final Four you watched this weekend, the national championship game you watched last night, will probably be the last national championship game in the history of the sport where universities were not paying their players directly. Those players you watched last night are making money, but it's coming from collectives and boosters and businesses, corporations, but not a penny, at least legally, is coming from Florida, and not a penny, at least legally, is coming from Houston. Once this gets through the courts, that will change, because then universities will be allowed to spend up to $20.5 million on their student athletes throughout the entire athletic department. And that's why this has become controversial at the power conference level, because the SEC has $20.5 million, the Big Ten has $20.5 million, the Big 12 $20.5 million, ACC $20.5 million to spend on the student athletes. So coaches within these athletic departments are fighting over that pot of money. You know what it's exactly like? This will make it make sense to Memphians. The state of Tennessee gives us hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on facilities, and then suddenly the University of Memphis is fighting for Liberty Bowl money. The Grizzlies are fighting for FedEx Forum money. 901 FC is fighting for soccer stadium money. The Redbirds are fighting for AutoZone Park money. And where did we get eventually? You know what they said? We have a pot of money here. You're all asking for some of it, and the math doesn't work. What you're asking for, if I give you what you're asking for, you what you're asking for, you what you're asking for, and you what you're asking for, the math doesn't work. We don't have enough to cover all that. So what ends up happening? Memphis football gets a big check. The Grizzlies get a big check for FedEx Forum, or FedEx Forum gets a big check. And they basically told 901 FC to go F itself, and now that no longer exists. But they had to make hard decisions because there wasn't enough money in the pot to satisfy everybody. That is precisely what's going on in athletic departments right now. At Duke, for instance, the Duke athletic director, she said, I mostly have to split this money up between men's basketball, women's basketball, and football. So those three coaches have all come to me. We've talked at length. And I said, tell me what you think you need to be what you want to be. And if I add up what John Shire told me, plus what my football coach told me, plus what my women's basketball coach told me, it exceeds $20.5 million by a lot. None of them are going to be able to get what they think they need because it doesn't exist. So the controversy is this. In the Big East, they don't have to pay football because it doesn't exist. So a typical SEC school right now, of that $20 million, they might say we're going to spend 12 on football, 5 on basketball, and the rest on women's basketball and whatever else. Every school can divide it up, but in the power conferences that have football, it doesn't matter how much you care about basketball. Football is more important. And if you're an athletic director, you are running a business. And the business of football is bigger than any other business you can run, outside of maybe places like Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and a few in between. But the issue becomes, at these power conferences where they have football, men's basketball is only going to be able to get, broadly speaking, on average, $4, $5, $6 million. In the Big East, they also are allowed to spend $20.5 million on their sports teams, but they don't have football. So if you want to know how St. John's is killing it in the transfer portal, it's because, and will continue, as well as Villanova and everybody else, they get $20.5 million and they can throw 15 at basketball if they want to. But what if Alabama can only throw 6 at basketball? You've got this incredible imbalance. So this is part of the controversial aspect of it. And it's why I believe the rules will be changed again, even if this gets pushed through, because I refuse to believe that the SEC and Big Ten are going to allow themselves to be disadvantaged relative to the Big East. If a system has been created where the Big East can reasonably spend way more money on men's basketball than you can, that system will either be changed or they'll start cheating again, one way or another. Here's the big headline that came out of yesterday's court proceedings, though. And it's something I've been talking about forever, and it's why this is not going to last long, even if it becomes reality. Here's what the judge said. She said, I do have a concern that the $20.5 million number as a salary cap is going to become a problem. And when the question is why, she said, because legally I am having trouble understanding the difference between a cap of zero and a cap of anything. Like $20.5 million is $20.5 million than school, more dollars than any school has ever been allowed to pay its student athletes. But it's still a cap. It's still a cap. And when somebody challenges that cap, you could find yourself in a legal problematic position. The way the NBA has a salary cap and the NFL has a salary cap is that it is negotiated with a players' union. It is collectively bargained and agreed upon. The players say, we agree to allow you to cap what our franchise's salaries can be. I'm oversimplifying this. Let me be very clear. But the oversimplification is we agree to allow you to cap what we can make because we have gotten this, and this from you. It's all negotiated. Everything's a negotiation. We agree. We sign the papers. Now we have a CBA, and this is the way we run our sport. To this point, the college athletics has refused to allow student athletes to unionize in any sort of meaningful way from coast to coast and allowed them to collectively bargain and negotiate. So it'd be one thing if you collectively bargain and the agreement is $20.5 million or $30.5 million or $70 million or $17 million. It doesn't matter the number as long as it's agreed upon after being collectively bargained. Then you can enforce it legally. But if you are just saying our cap is $20.5 million and then you are just telling some college basketball player he or she can't take more money than that because it's not there under the umbrella of our rules to be given to you, how does that not end up back in court? It will end up back in court.
It definitely will.
It will end up back in court at some point because even the NIL deals become problematic. Mm-hmm. The way the NCAA wants this to work going forward, if the judge would just sign off on everything, this is what the NCAA wants. A cap of $20.5 million, and we still allow student athletes to take NIL money, but it has to fall in line with what traditional name, image, and likeness deals would look like. So right now, none of this makes sense. Remember Tyreek Smith, the scrub from SMU who came to Memphis for a few weeks, took hundreds of thousands of dollars in, quote, NIL, and then just bounced out of the program?
Yep.
And Memphis had no recourse. That money was just gone. In a different world going forward, if this settlement went through, there would be a third-party entity monitoring all of these deals, and for a deal like that, they would void it. They would say, "You, that's not a real NIL deal. Yeah. You're somebody nobody's ever even heard of. You have no name recognition." Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, there are people who work at Grind City Media who have more name, image, and likeness recognition than Tyreek Smith, all right? Like, he is not worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in NIL. He might be worth that as a basketball player, but they have to disguise it as NIL to make it legal under what was at the time NCAA rules. Well, if this settlement goes through, there will be a third party that comes in and says, you're not worth that. This contract is void. Well, here's what the judge said yesterday. Who are we to say or determine legally what a booster or anybody else can give somebody? Like, I don't know that we're on strong legal ground here to be doing all this. I have real reservations about it. So one of two things is going to happen. This is either not going to get pushed through or it's going to get pushed through and then it's going to get challenged in court the second they void any deal or the second they limit anybody's capabilities of making real money. So this is just a step that they will call progress, but it's going to get us back into a similar place where we've been, where either the cheating becomes rampant again or lawsuits become rampant again. Eventually, we will get to a place where they do collectively bargain, and this will be run very much like the NBA, very much like the NFL. But until then, it's just baby steps, sometimes in the wrong direction. And the people who are getting most rich off of it are the lawyers involved.
Number 4.
Time Magazine. This week's cover. They say they're bringing back extinct animals, Bennett.
Yeah.
You brought this to me. Are we really bringing back extinct animals? And on some level, isn't this like what they did in Jurassic Park? And I ain't seen it in a while, but I don't remember that going so well.
You know, it's funny. We're watching the Jurassic Park movies right now with the kids. So that's why this kind of like, got my attention when I saw it. Which is 6 years old. That's a fine age to start watching Jurassic Park. I think that's fine, right?
I will tell you, I believe it was with Oliver. Oliver got on a real Jurassic Park kick when he was probably around, 5, 6, 7 years
Kids
old.
love dinosaurs.
We went back and watched all the movies, and then what we would do after we had already seen all the movies is we would really just go to YouTube, like Apple TV, YouTube on the big screen, and we would just watch the dinosaur scenes. We'd just turn those on, and we'd have fun watching those together. I think Noah can watch Jurassic Park. I don't have any issue with it.
I think it's fine.
You're also talking to a man who's about to take his 11-year-old and 8-year-old to a Kendrick Lamar show. So I might not be the best judge for what's okay for kids, but I got no problem with Noah watching Jurassic Park if that's what you're asking.
So the things that were brought back were dire wolves, which you
like a dire wolf?
I do. I had no idea it was a real thing. I thought it was a fictional animal from Game of Thrones. Had no idea that direwolves actually lived and roamed our planet at one time. They once roamed an American range that extended as far as Venezuela and as far north as Canada, but one hasn't been seen in over 10,000 years until now.
The cover of that Time magazine that you're looking at right now, that is not like a picture of a dire wolf from That's a real thing that they've created. That's a living, breathing.
A dire wolf, yes.
They've created a dire wolf. Do you think this is smart? Do you think this is what we need to be doing?
So it's this company called Colossal, and they're basically. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to explain how they did this.
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, I mean, relying on deft genetic engineering and ancient preserved DNA, the Colossal scientists deciphered the direwolf genome and rewrote the genetic code of the common gray wolf to match it. And then they used domestic dogs as surrogate mothers and brought Romulus, Remus, and their sister, 2-month-old Khaleesi, there's the Game of Thrones tie-in, into the world. So I guess we have 3 direwolves. And then they said they're not done. They want to keep going. They say they want to bring back more extinct animals. Would you like to know the ones that they're looking to bring back next?
There's nothing I would rather know right now.
So also on their de-extinction wish list is the woolly mammoth. That'd be cool. I'd love to see a woolly mammoth walking around.
I wouldn't mind seeing a woolly mammoth.
I would have no problem with that. Like put it in the cage with the elephants at the zoo. That'd be a lot of fun, right?
Well, I don't know if that's safe, Ben, and I don't know enough about whether
they might not get along well.
I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not well versed on the relationship between woolly mammoths and elephants. But before I throw them in a cage together, that's something I'd probably look into.
Probably think about the dodo. The dodo was like the only animal that I knew extinct for like half of my life. Like remember when like in school they would talk about extinct animals and the dodo was always like the thing they put up on the screen, on the projector.
There's on the Ion College Basketball Podcast, the way it opens every day is, hey there, I'm Gary Parrish. Welcome back to Ion College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, and leaky black. And the reason dodo birds is in there, and all of that's just little random things that happened organically in the pod at some point. But at one point, we were talking about something going away forever, and Matt Norlander said something along the lines of, it's gone the way of the dodo bird. And I said, gone the way of the dodo bird? Where did you get that phrase? What are you even talking about? And he was like, that's a pretty common phrase. When you're talking about something that's no longer around, you just say it's gone the way of the dodo bird, which means it's extinct. It's no longer around. That's how dodo birds became a part of the Ion College Basketball Podcast. But I don't know if it'll work going forward if we actually bring the dodo bird back.
I'm for bringing back the dodo bird.
But why? To expand on that, expand on that. What pleasure would you get out of having dodo birds on this earth?
Just because my whole life I was, that was the poster child for extinct animals, and so to have it back, it would feel like that we've made progress as humankind, if you will.
Are you sure we're making progress as humankind?
Yeah, dude, we're bringing back extinct animals. I mean, I think in some aspects we are making progress. Others maybe not so much.
We are doing things that we could never previously do.
That's right.
So if that's progress, then sure. But I'm not completely certain that we're not going to look back on AI and bringing back extinct animals and go, we got away from ourselves a little bit, and we took what was never perfect world. I'm just not sure everything we're doing right now is making us a better planet.
Yeah. King Meek said they should bring back Tupac. I agree. I agree. I don't need a dodo bird. Just bring back Tupac.
I'd rather have Tupac than a dodo bird. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, me too. I'm in on that. The other one that they want to bring back is the Tasmanian tiger. So
what? I thought there was the only Tasmanian thing I know is a devil.
I think those are still around. They're not extinct. They're still doing their thing.
So there's Tasmanian devils and Tasmanian tigers?
Yeah. I think the Tasmanian tiger has like stripes on its back. I think I've seen a picture of one before.
I just wonder if we're going to look back and go, man, yeah, we made progress. We started doing stuff that no generation could previously do. Isn't that amazing? And be like, yeah, it sounded good in theory, but we kind of messed stuff up.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're just messing stuff up. Like this whole AI thing is like going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't know that it'll get better. But like we live in a world now where you open your phone and you don't know what's real and what isn't.
I don't like
that.
it.
That's a true thing on April 8th, 2025. We used to think about like, do you think there'll ever be a day when you'll be watching a video and you don't even know if it's real? Mm-hmm. That is where we're right now.
Yeah, we're here. I don't love
Stephen
that.
A. Smith, who we'll talk about in a minute, had to like deny a few days ago or whenever some video of him just out there ranting about Kevin Durant. I don't even know what he said. I didn't even see it. But he was compelled enough to say, that's not real. I know it looks like me and it sounds like me and it looks real, but it's not real. I didn't say that. It's just it's an AI thing. Like that's where we live now.
Yeah.
You ready for this? If somebody wanted to, I won't even get into specifics. There's nothing you can't do with AI now, for the most part, to like make people believe this person said or did this thing. It's all the technology exists.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Is it progress? I guess it's progress when it comes to technology, but is it good? Are we sure this is good?
I would venture to say the AI thing is. I'm going to go out on a limb and say not good.
It feels not good.
Not good. It feels gross.
I sometimes find myself like clicking on something and I'm like, is this something I need to talk about tomorrow? And then I get further into it and I'm like, oh, it's not even real.
It's fake.
It's not even a real thing. So no, I don't need to talk about it tomorrow. But I was close to maybe doing it. Mm-hmm. Because it looked real and felt real and seemed to be legitimate, and it's just not.
We are this close to like someone getting tricked bad, and it has like bad repercussions. You know what I mean? Like nothing's really happened like that. This is just like at this point, right? At least nothing that comes to my mind.
Well, nothing's really happened. I mean, I don't know, but like, have we looked at NBC nightly news and they just are reporting factually something that is completely I don't think we've gotten there yet.
Right.
Although, like, there are cable news stations that just pump lies into the country every single night. On both sides, I should say, but like, I'm comfortable saying one's way worse than the other. Either way, if it's not happening to traditional news organizations or whatever, like getting tricked, you know who it is happening to every single day. Your neighbor, my mom, your dad, the people down the street. Like, there's a whole country filled with people right now who don't know what's real and what isn't, don't know what to believe and what not, because they're constantly consuming information, and it's not all real information. It's not all real stuff. It's just we're living in weird times.
Here's
what I'm telling you. I don't think we properly understand, broadly speaking, how weird of a time we're living in right now. This is not none of what's going on right now is normal. This is wild stuff. I'm almost like a little glad that I'm so overwhelmed with work that I don't even have time to really even get into the things that I would normally get into if I had a reasonable amount of time to even think or read or care. But like, these are crazy. It's wild out there, and I don't know if it's good for us. I guess we'll see, right?
Number 5.
Stephen A. Smith said he's, quote, leaving all doors open for a possible presidential run, which is one of those things that you might read and go, is this real? Is this real, or is this AI? But this appears to be real. Stephen A. Smith says he's, quote, leaving all options open. And this comes after Pablo Torre, who used to work at ESPN. Now he does a daily podcast. I've known Pablo for a long time, like really smart guy, awesome guy. But they commissioned the way if you were running a campaign, this is the type of stories they do. It's always like his podcast, it's tied to sports, but it's always like stories no other sports podcast would do. So what they did with this one is commission like real pollsters. Like if you were working with Kamala Harris, right, or Marco Rubio or whatever, and you were considering a presidential run, these are the people you would hire to like start doing polling and start seeing like, is this legitimate? Do you have a shot? Pablo did this with Stephen A. Smith. And what they found is by any normal standard or abnormal standard perhaps, but by any sort of, hey, we've done all the polling, what did the results tell us? The results show he's a viable candidate for president of the United States. He could be a viable candidate for president of the United States. That's what the results show.
I like Stephen A. I'm a fan of Stephen A's. I do not like this. I don't think this is a good idea. I want to get back to the days when our politicians, like, you know, spent their adult lives, you know, doing politics.
You know what? I think you might be on.
Did I lose you?
Something here. The best way for Stephen A. I hope you didn't lose me. Did you lose me?
No, I think you're
Am
good.
I here, Bennett? You got to talk to him.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Okay. So let's just pretend none of that just happened and start fresh. The best thing for Stephen A. Smith to be a viable candidate for president would be for the rest of President Trump's term to go well. Because if it doesn't, if this is a chaotic 4 years, and we're sort of here right now, then it becomes harder to elect somebody like Stephen A. Smith, because I do think a lot of people will get back to exactly where you say you already are, which is maybe the person who is the president of the United States should have some experience of running government, of running something. Because right now there's a lot of, just do some Google searches. You'll see a lot of stories with a lot of people with backgrounds in the economy and backgrounds in all other things who suggest that it's possible right now we have a president who doesn't actually know what he's doing as he's implementing all of these policy changes. And if that goes badly, then it gets harder for Stephen A. Smith to get elected with no government experience at all, right?
Yes.
But if this were to end well, then you could just say, hey, that went okay, so why couldn't this go okay?
Right.
The reason he is polling so well is because he is aligned with neither side. It's the exact same reason Bill Maher is growing in popularity right now.
That's a good point.
It's because they're aligned with neither side, or at least not beholden to either side. I think what Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith would both tell you is that they lean left. Bill Maher, as much as he trashes the left now, still always lands on, but I ain't with you guys. You guys are insane. Like, you guys are nuts. But I'm just tired of them being nuts too. But at least, like, Bill Maher sort of settles in, yes, the left has gotten crazy, but they're still not as crazy as you lunatics. But it is too crazy for me. I'm not going to sit here and align with every single thing that they do. And Stephen A. Smith has sort of found that same road to drive on. And it is much easier to connect with Americans, myself included, when you just tell the truth every time, as opposed to feel like you can't tell the truth, because if you do, you'll alienate yourself from one side or the other.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, on one side, they quite literally lied about the mental capabilities of the previous president of the United States, who was a candidate to remain the president of the United States. Like, I hope everybody's hearing this. They lied to you. The people on the left covered for Joe Biden for a long time and tried to hide him and tried to mislead you, and they lied. And if you are somebody who watches Fox News every night and can't believe the way the left lied about Joe Biden's capabilities, I understand that. That was insane and troubling and wrong. But you guys lie about elections, all right? So you suck too. And I would argue suck worse. So how does Bill Maher grow in popularity in this world? How does Stephen A. Smith become a viable candidate in this world? Because you know what they say? Here's what Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith say. The right is full of shit when they say things like, we don't know who won the election. Maybe the election was stolen. It was a peaceful protest at the Capitol. F all of you. That is all bullshit. You're like, it's embarrassing for a normal person to say. But what Bill Maher will also say is, when the left say that people born as biological males should be competing in women's sports, that's crazy. That shouldn't be happening either. And so if you ever can get to a place where you can call out the bullshit on both sides, that's how you connect with Americans right now. Because I know there's some loonies out to the left and some loonies out to the right. You'll never get those people. But I really do think most of us are closer to the middle than that, myself included. I know how I get labeled by people in a chat. Just know I don't agree with everything that goes on the left. But I think the right is, I don't want no part of that. They make some good points over there about some things, but broadly speaking, that's still weirdo land for me. But the left has gone way too far that way to win elections. And Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith are both on television every week showing you how you can actually connect with American people. They are growing in popularity because they're willing to call out the bullshit on both sides. You should be able to say this. What happened on January 6th is insane. And if you act like it's not, you're insane. But also, lying about Joe Biden for a year is also insane. And if you were somebody who was doing that, shame on you. Most Americans would agree with both of those statements, right? And Bill Maher is saying those things, and Stephen A. Smith is saying those things, and that's why they are growing in popularity. And I do think that's important to at least notice. We have divided ourselves as a country. We just have. Between social media, cable news, we have divided ourselves as a country. But in the actual real world, where we're just walking around, sitting in restaurants, going to baseball games, picking our kids up from school, most of us get along pretty well. Most of us don't actually hate each other in real life. And if you could ever find a way to operate in that range, that's how you can get people back on your side. And so this whole Stephen A. Smith thing, as silly as it sounds, that's all he's doing. He is a gifted communicator who is calling out bullshit on both sides. And now he's growing in popularity, and by all measuring sticks, is a viable candidate to be the next president of the United States. That's the world we live in now. We'll be back with GP Scary.
Debo traded from San Francisco to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. There's no other sport where you would get a player of his ilk for a 5th-round pick.
Over under total yards for Debo. If they set it at 1,000, you think he hits that over?
Total yards?
Total yards from scrimmage. Total yards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With special guests 3 doors down. And Mammoth WVH. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Creed returns, the Summer of 99 tour.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in San Antonio, hopefully for just a few more hours. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis producing the program. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, in the opening segment, we mostly focused on last night's national championship game. It wasn't beautiful, but it was filled with drama. 65-63, that's the final score. Florida, trailing by 12 in the second half, storms back to beat Houston and win the third national championship in school history. Todd Golden gets his first at the age of 39 for the Cougars. Like we said, just a tough one to swallow, man. You're up 12 points, a little more than 15 to play. You got the best defense in America, and the other team's star is giving them absolutely nothing. You are supposed to knock that out. Everybody assumed at that point they were going to knock it out. And just like literally every game of this Final Four, there's 3 games at every Final Four, and all 3, the team that won was trailing at the half, the team that won was trailing in the second half. All 3 winners of all 3 games at the Final Four had to launch comebacks in the second half to end up with more points than the other team. And so that'll be among the ways this Final Four is remembered. But there will be a lot of people who, particularly in Houston, think back about the time they were in position to win their first national championship in school history. This is a school that's been to 7 Final Fours, but 0 national championships, and it was right there, man. It was right there. And in the final 4 possessions, they turned it over 4 times. Couldn't even get a shot. The last one, Emmanuel Sharp, and I just felt sick for him. Sick for him. He had been so good. Remember, that's the same young man who knocked down the big 3 in the final minute against Duke the other night. He's a 41% three-point shooter. He was having a nice tournament, and now that's going to stick with him. That'll be you go to YouTube videos about yourself for the rest of his life, and that'll be the most watched one, where you can't get a shot off on the final possession in a national championship game. Just tough stuff, but congrats to Florida. The SEC was the best league in the country this season, and the SEC did provide us with the national champion.
What's today's biggest game?
Well, it depends on who you want to root against, Bennett. Would you rather root against the Timberwolves or the Warriors tonight?
Okay. God, this is tough because the thing is okay, if the Timberwolves lose tonight, then you get to play them on Thursday, and you really, that pretty much you win that one, that takes them out of the discussion, right? Like you're going to finish ahead of them in that instance. But then again, the other way to look at it is I don't get a chance to play the Warriors again, so I need to root against them. Let's root against.
Let me be clear. We're rooting against both. We're rooting against both.
Tonight
but
we are.
Which one? Who you want to put your record on? That's what I'm asking you.
Who I want to put my record on? Give me the Timberwolves Bucks game. Yeah.
Okay, then we're doing a 7 o'clock tip in Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. Timberwolves Bucks. It's Minnesota with the identical 46-32 record that the Grizzlies have, minus 5.5. The total's 222.5. So we're taking the Bucks plus 5.5. I need to hear it come out of your mouth. It's just like when you're sitting in an emergency row on an airplane. You can't just shake your head. Yeah. They need a verbal confirmation that you will help people if you need to help people. Bennett, right now, I need a verbal confirmation. You're taking the Bucks plus 5.5.
I think so. Giannis is a game time decision. So if he doesn't play, then we're screwed. But yeah, we'll go ahead and assume he is going to play, and we'll go with the Bucks plus 5.5 there. We're also Suns fans tonight. That's who plays the Warriors, like you said. That's on TNT at 9 o'clock. And we're also, this is tough. We're not rooting for great teams. We're also rooting for the Spurs. We're Spurs fans. They're in LA at Intuit Dome against the Clippers. So not great for us. I mean, I think if you're going to get a win, it's that Bucks Timberwolves game. So. And obviously we have to win in our own right.
All right. Timberwolves Bucks 7 o'clock. Fiserv Forum. Go Bucks, go.
What are we watching on TV?
Can I interest you in the clubhouse a year with the Red Sox?
Nah, I mean, I hate the Red Sox.
Me neither.
I hate the Red Sox.
Like, could you interest me in clubhouse a year with the Dodgers? Maybe. A year with the Mets, obviously. But why do I care about a crappy Red Sox team?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't care about them.
But it's dropped today. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
So if you are a Red Sox fan, like our old friend Matt Stark, if you're a Red Sox fan, Netflix has a brand new documentary for you. The Clubhouse, a year with the Red Sox. You can stream it right now.
What's the best thing we've read?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I haven't read it. So I don't know if it's the best thing. I don't think I've read anything this morning.
Oh, man.
But Matt Norlander, my colleague, is close with that Florida staff in whatever way you can be close with the staff when you're a columnist and they're a basketball staff. And so he had set it up where he was going to just sort of be a fly on the wall as Florida celebrated a national championship if Florida actually won the national championship. So I haven't read it yet, but like I've seen video of like Norlander's he's in the boats on the Riverwalk, like floating down the river with the Florida Gators last night celebrating the national championship. In our CBS Sports Slack, the reviews are very positive. They're telling me it's great that Norlander knocked it out of the park. So if you're looking for something to read connected to last night's national championship game, go read that. You can find it at cbssports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm going to fly home from San Antonio, and as long as everything goes well, I'm going to be in studio tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and then Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, and Friday morning at 10 o'clock. And we're going to do this show face-to-face, Bennett, for the foreseeable future. These basketball seasons, they can get a little complicated, but it's nice to now have it in the rearview mirror. Get back in studio, stay home for a little while, and see you face to face and do this in a more traditional way. So I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to enjoy mine, and we're going to meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.
They need cameras to capture every waking moment between Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston on the same team. The pregame prayers will be generational.
Because that's preacher and a deacon. That's what we're talking about here. That prayer's going to be 40 minutes. We're going to miss the anthem.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Bain, a pump fake, a three. It's true for Desmond Bain.
FBK. Fly by King.
Wheels through the lane, now spins back. Ja hangs, puts it in! Oh, what a shot by Morant in the clutch! So hot. Oh, Jared said no!
Because he doesn't put on a play, comes up with a monster block.
Grammy, Academy, and Golden Globe Award-winning superstar, Mary J. Blige, live in Memphis. The For My Fans Tour, live at FedEx Forum Saturday, April 19th, with special guests Neo and Mario. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The iconic Mary J. Blige for one night only.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.